Hi, everybody. Leslie from Digital Fire. We are an outsourced IT department, as most of you know. And yeah, today we're going to talk about AI. And Just thought I'd start with a little cartoon by Timo Elliott there. Yeah, AI and what impact it's going to have on all of our businesses. This is a major revolution, and I don't think we've seen anything go this fast. You know, most of us weren't around when the car replaced horses, and maybe we can imagine what that was like. And maybe for the invention of the computer, for going from paper to computer. This is a big one. It's going to change all of our children's lives. It's going to change all of our lives. And we'll talk about the speed at which it's going. And, you know, I put this up because there are maybe some scary things about it as well. But let's talk about that and kind of put that in a box as well, because it's not all bad news. We do hear a ton of doom and gloom about AI and that it's going to destroy humanity and that sort of thing. And you know, a lot of people compare it to the advent of nuclear weapons, and that it certainly could destroy humanity. It certainly has that capability. I wouldn't say has right now, has the potential for that capability, I would say. But yeah, this is an interesting stat of people that are creators and researchers of AI. So would you get on a plane if you knew that 10% of the people that designed the plane thought that the plane was going to crash? That's sort of, except you're on the plane right now. You have a device likely listening to this that is using AI right now. So it's already here. It's not that it's coming. It's here. It's being jammed down our throats, whether we like it or not. So it's about figuring out what we should do and how we can react to it, and maybe use it because it's coming. And words, it's here. So some key to machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, robotics. We're going to try to simplify all of this stuff. Let me start with a quick explanation of what this is and why it's different than, you know, new stuff gets invented all the time. Technology, what's the big deal about AI? So this is the first thing that we've invented as a human race that, I don't know if I should say a bold statement like that, but we don't actually know how it works. That's what the people who made it don't get it. And that's the fundamental scary part about it, is that you input some stuff, say this green layer here, and then this blue stuff happens in a black box, and then you get an output. And they've sort of built the stuff inside the black box, but they don't really know how it works. They just feed it a ton of data and tell it that what it did was right or what it did was wrong. Right? And it starts with something really, really simple, like, is this a duck or is this an elephant? Right? And then it says, you know, just randomly guesses and says, yep, that's a duck. And you say, nope, that's an elephant. And then you do that, you know, hundreds of millions and billions of times, and it turns out that, you know, you've given it the ability to develop itself internally. So this purple section here is you give it inputs, and of course this gets infinitely more complex, but basically the purple section is the algorithm, the computer programming, the AI, whatever you want to call it, developing itself and figuring out ways that it can be more efficient and do better. And so you give it a whole bunch of pictures of ducks and elephants, and then at the end, you tell it whether it correctly identified the picture as a duck or an elephant. And you can apply that to speech, to music, to video, to text, to doc. Is this a resume? Or is this an application for citizenship? Right? Is this, you know, how much inventory should I carry so that I optimize my costs. How much revenue am I going to make next year? How much profit am I going to have next year? Right? We'll talk about some of those kinds of things that are very, very hard for us humans to. What is the price of Tesla stock going to be this afternoon at 3:59? Right? If you knew that with certainty, how much money could you make? If you knew with 100% certainty what the price was going to be, and AI does not provide 100% certainty, but it certainly is very, very powerful. So the scary part is that we don't know what happens in the middle, right? So it gets infinitely more complex, and this doesn't even begin to show how complex it is. But you put these supercomputers in, and they're developing themselves internally. So this is like a brain. This is like, would it be? No one, when you teach your child to walk, did you actually tell them which neurons to fire, which muscles to use, in what order, in what strength? Right? Did you write down some instructions that they would need to follow exactly to the T in order to learn how to ride a bike? Oh, they fell a bunch of times. Or you gave them some guidance. You gave them some feedback on what was a correct way to do it or what was not a correct way to do it. And you gave them some information based on how you learned to ride a bike or how you learned to swim, right? But we didn't actually tell our children, the actual steps of which neurons and which muscles to fire in which arm and which leg. And no, we give them the parameters, and they have to figure out the middle bit themselves. We don't even know. I mean, right? How do you know which? You just swim, right? You just ride a bike. It's like riding a bike. You never forget, right? But do you actually know what you do physically, mechanically to ride? No, you just do it. So this part, and that's what is the essence of a neural network. The part in the middle of like how to actually physically ride a bike is in your brain somewhere, and we don't actually know what it is. It could be completely different for you as it is for me, as it is for someone else, but the result is riding a bike. And that's what's so different about this than other technologies, is we've created computers that can figure the middle bits out themselves with input and output, right? So we give it a whole, it's just, at the moment, we have to give it a whole lot of input, way more than humans. But computers are faster, so they can they don't need to sleep and things like that. So you can scale them up, sort of thing, and connect many brains together. Right? The human brain is still far better, pound for pound. But yeah, and then interesting. I heard human trials are on Elon Musk's neural implants. That could be pretty crazy and game changing. But yeah, we'll see. The speed at which this is going is kind of nuts. So yeah, that's what's different about this, is you don't really understand, nobody does, not the people that created it, what's happening in the middle. And so you get stuff that you didn't really predict happened, right? Suddenly the AI can speak a different language that you didn't ask it to do or know about. It can suddenly do chemistry when you were trying to teach it French. And it just sort of discovered that it could also do chemistry when that was really not in what you were trying to, and that happens with humans too, right? As you're trying to teach your child to throw a baseball or something, and suddenly they can also throw a frisbee, or in doing so, they learn how to run faster, and they can suddenly play soccer much better, or something like that. There are kind of unintended consequences, unintended outcomes, unpredicted outcomes, because it's learning. It's like a child, right? Or like a human. So you can think of AI in simple terms as a crystal ball. It's a prediction engine, right? And I said earlier, what if you knew the price of Tesla stock at 3:59 p.m. today? What could you do if you knew with 100% certainty what the price of Tesla stock was going to be at 3:59 p.m. today, what could you do with that information, right? You could do good things, you could do bad things, you could, but if you knew that, you could change a lot of things, right? That's sort of what this, if you knew that your business was going to make X amount of dollars in revenue in 24 months, right? That in September 2025, revenue of your business was going to be X. If you knew that with 100% certainty, right? And then what would you change? Let's say you say, okay, well, what if I hired 4 salespeople and then it would output what your revenue would be? And then you could calculate what your costs are and it would be certain. What if that was 100% certain, right? What could you do with that information? So I know this sounds crazy, but I mean, we've all used Google Maps, right? And when you're going somewhere, before Google Maps, it's kind of like weird to even think about it, but before Google Maps, you sort of had to estimate how long it was going to be, right? You weren't totally sure if there was going to be traffic. You had to think about what time of day it is and where it is and whether there might be an accident, that sort of thing. You can put in the address and it'll tell you with, with certainty. Is it 100%? No, it's probably 99%, 98%. It's a whole lot more certain than it used to be, right? So you could pull that out on your phone today, on your navigation in the car, put in the address, and it'll tell you exactly when you're going to get there to the minute, right? How many times have you told someone, yeah, GPS says I'm going to be 13 minutes, or I'm going to be 24 minutes, right? It knows because it's calculated all of the factors. And is it 100% correct? No, but it's correct most of the time. The thing is, it's information we don't know or is too complex. So what is the price of Tesla stock going to be at 3:59 p.m. today? There are things that cause the stock to go up and down. It's just there are a lot of things that cause the stock price to go up and down, right? So for us humans, it is too many things to calculate. It is too many factors to think about, too many variables. So for us, the answer is magic. But it is actually predictable with some probability, right? And you can calculate all of the possible things that now could there be something out of left field that no one could have predicted? Absolutely. But you can calculate with a greater and greater level of certainty, right? When Google Maps was first tried, got it wrong a bunch of times, right? But as more and more data goes in, more and more people have used it, now it's very seldom wrong. So it knows exactly how long it's going to take because it calculates the speed limit and the traffic and how, different routes and all sorts of other things that you couldn't possibly think of, right? And so it's like magic, except it's not. It's just a lot of factors that are too many for us humans to consider. So that's what AI is. It's just able to do all of these predictions. Now, it can do, there's potential for it to be a lot more. Like we can talk about sentience and is it alive and is it, today what we see is there some hidden thing somewhere that nobody knows about that, you can do conspiracy theories about that. I actually kind of believe there probably is some advanced computing that is potentially sentient that exists. I mean, I haven't seen evidence of that, but to me, it stands to reason that that's either very close or coming soon or already exists somewhere. No one can be sure, but yeah, from what I've seen, I think that's likely if it's not already here. But that's just my personal opinion. But today, the practical bits are that it's a crystal ball, which is pretty darn good. If you could know what your business was going to do in revenue in 2 years, is there a tool that you can type in stuff today to do that? Not exactly, no. I wish there was, but that there will be. But it's that Google Maps type scenario, is that we just sort of take this for granted, and the speed at which we can do this is actually kind of Google Maps is just, we take it for granted right now, right? But I mean, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, that would have been, totally magic and crazy, and how is that even possible, type of thing, right? So that's what's coming. So, and we do want to get to some practical uses, but think about, you already have this, right? Google Maps, we just talked about, Google search, right? Half the time I can't type properly on my phone. I don't know, does it happen to you guys where I just in the old, okay, call me old school, but it used to be a BlackBerry keyboard, right? And it was easier to type things on a BlackBerry keyboard. I'm probably still faster on that, except that if I type the thing wrong that I'm looking for, it usually actually knows what I wanted to type and suggests the thing that I was thinking of. And if it doesn't read my mind, I'm kind of annoyed, actually, that I misspelled it and didn't type it correctly yet. I'm expecting it to know what I was searching for, right? And I'm annoyed that if I have to type it again, sort of thing. It's we've gotten very used to it. So you use this every day in Siri and Google Assistant and Alexa, and the feed that you get. I mean, TikTok is entirely based on this, right? It's just, if you like looking at videos of dogs or cats or whatever, then it's going to feed you more of those, and it's designed to keep you connected and scrolling, and and it's not just LinkedIn, right? The feed on LinkedIn is all about things that you're interested in, and this is being used actively in all these. The next song that plays on Spotify, right? It's based on stuff you like, and it looks at patterns of songs you've listened to, right? Or Google Music, or Apple, all of them, right? I mean, think about cars. If you've gotten a car in the last little while, then it's got things like the blind spot monitoring. And is blind spot monitoring actually AI? No, not in and of itself. That's a sensor, and then the light goes off if there's something in the. But it's a spectrum, is what I'm trying to get at, because that's part of the technology that's used to go into the bits of data that then gets analyzed for self-driving autonomous level 3, right? But if you don't have that sensor, then so is lane keep assist in itself AI? No, but if you put all of that stuff together, right, and then you feed it into this engine, it can make a decision, right? So yeah, think a bit of that crystal ball because that's what we're doing when we're driving, is looking at these things and trying. There's a whole bunch of data: where the other car is it a red light, what's the speed limit, how close am I to the other car, is there a pedestrian about to cross the road, whoops, there's a moose. All of these things, we're feeding into our brain and then making a decision on. And so we already see this, right? Like forward collision avoidance. There are a whole bunch of cars on the market right now that you can't rear end someone. The car will stop before you rear end someone, right? Is that in and of itself AI? I don't know. It's making a decision. Is it right? So I wouldn't call that alone AI, no, but it's on the spectrum, is my point. And we're on this road where we're just, it's part of our everyday lives now. So yeah, where can you use this? Video analysis for computer vision, facial recognition, generating text, robotics, maybe in manufacturing, speech synthesis. I don't know if you saw the thing on 60 Minutes where the reporter AI can use 3 seconds of audio and reproduce the person's voice in a way that you won't be able to tell, you or I won't be able to tell whether that's actually the person speaking or not. If you Google it, you can look at the report in 60 Minutes, but it's a reporter and the producer. And the producer receives a call from the reporter on her cell phone. So she looks at her cell phone and she looks at the call display, and the call display says it's the producer call. And she picks up, she speaks to the producer. I don't know how many times do you speak to your producer every day? 50? Like, they work together all the time, right? She receives a call on her cell phone from the producer. The producer says, I'm in this airport, and she knows that she actually is in that airport, right? The person actually is in that airport because she's traveling through that airport today. And then she says, I've just lost my passport. Can you send me a copy of it? Because I have to give it to the gate agent here. So the producer sends the passport through, right? Except that wasn't a real call. It was an AI calling that, or they had used, it was a hacker actually that used AI to reproduce the person's voice and change the call display so that they received the call. It's only required 3 seconds of the person's voice. Now that person is a reporter, and so there's all kinds of snippets of the person's voice all over the internet. But yeah, it was an interesting scenario where you could use it for bad things. And of course it makes the news because it's all negative and terrible and whatever, right? I mean, think about AI curing cancer or ridding the ocean of plastics, right? Saving your wife or sister or husband from death because of any number of things. It can really has the potential to do wonderful things. So this idea of emergent abilities, I mentioned there's this famous example where it suddenly was able to, the ChatGPT was suddenly able to speak Persian and output content in Persian, and no one had ever asked it to or told it to do anything. It just was ingesting a whole bunch of data and suddenly was able to output in Persian. And it had actually had the ability to do that, and nobody noticed for something like a year or something. So it can be quite interesting, maybe a little bit scary, the speed at which this is going. And I will get to some practical stuff, but we've crossed the threshold of where it can do more than humans can. Does that mean it's sentient? That's a whole other debate, whether it's alive and whether it has emotion and feeling, and that's a whole other debate that won't get into because it's an endless rabbit hole. So, but there's no question that it has more capabilities today than humans are able to do in any one single area. That's really the caveat right now, is that the AIs, the way they are, is that they focus on a particular area. There's an AI that's wonderful at robotic manufacturing. There's another one that's great at creating content. There's another one that can tell whether it's a resume or a citizenship application. There's another one that can optimize your transportation, trucking, distribution patterns. On what's the most efficient way to get this cargo out to these, I have to visit 100 locations every night to deliver things to a dealership. What's the most efficient way to do that? In what order should I do that? How many trucks do I need? What am I trying to optimize for? Am I trying to optimize for fuel efficiency or lack of drivers or number of trucks or distance traveled or, that sort of thing. In any one given area, though, it is better than humans. This is CEO of Microsoft saying that the pace is absolutely frantic. And we are going to do we've got some special guests coming for our next version of this in October, and it's the third Thursday of October. We'll send out some more information on it, but it's actually the city of Kelowna, BC, has been sort of a poster child for using AI in very practical ways. Facilities management, they've done stuff at the airport, etc. So we're bringing on the CIO there, and he's on the board of directors with Microsoft, specifically to do with AI in Canada. Was one of the first to have access to ChatGPT in Canada. And is advising Microsoft. So Microsoft loves this sort of the city of Kelowna and its government and the municipality, and so if you Google it, they've done a bunch of case studies on some interesting things that they've done. We're going to bring them on and discuss, how they got there, how they thought of it, that sort of thing. So it's going to be about a month from now, in October for Small Business Month. So the pace is frantic for this. So. Other ways it's being used today, and I promise we're getting some practical bits of this, but it's predict the market, spot fraud. So this is being used today for large companies tell whether, and and I know most of the people on this call they're going to be listening to this are small companies, so I do want to say, how can I use this, right? But I want to give you some ideas to get the wheels flowing on how other people are using this, and that might, I'm hoping, trigger something on what you can do for you. And we'll talk about some places where what's the ideal conditions to use this, or what are some prerequisites maybe, or some low-hanging fruit for this. But yeah, it's being used to try to predict the market. Again, what is the stock price going to be at a particular time? To spot fraud, look for transactions. So if you've got a huge amount of data on the transactions, which one of those, what are the patterns associated with transactions that you don't want, that are fraud? Certainly we've all heard about content generation, right? Is like, make me some slides, reply to some emails, that kind of stuff. We've heard about that, and there's some practical stuff coming with that. If you're on Office 365, then Copilot is coming. It's supposed to be around $30 per user per month. Should be available maybe before the end of the year, for a sort of a beta release. I mean, it's not official, and then maybe for general release sometime next year. Hopefully the early half of that. And then what does that actually look like? We'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, content generation is sort of definitely low-hanging fruit. And in that, there's some. We'll talk about one tool called Levity, but there's some classification. So if you're getting a ton of emails, I know some of the people on this call deal a lot with documents, right? Incoming documents, medical records, or is this a passport? Is this a often clients, customers, patients will send things in weird ways, attached in weird ways. And a human has to go through and sort it to figure out, okay, this is a passport. Wait, that's not clear. Please, can I have another copy? Is this, this is lab results. This is, a referral document, that sort of thing. If you had AI to sort those and look at all those documents, you could probably save how much time per person per day. And that's possible today. To do. Is it something you can implement immediately? A lot of this does require some scale, right? So if it's going to cost you $20,000 to program that, how long is it going to see, what's your ROI on $20,000? So some of this is small businesses. We have to wait till other people develop the tools, and then I can buy the tool for $50 a month or something like that, right? That's hopefully what Copilot is going to do for us, to allow some of these things. But we can start to get ahead of it for the things that we have enough data for, right? So if you're receiving 2 driver's licenses a day, and you've got to identify whether it's a driver's license or a passport or a referral document or lab results, and you're receiving 2 a day or 5 a day, at the moment that's not cost effective to develop something on. And it needs a ton of data to go in. But there's other people who've done the work on this, and then you can potentially use that, right? But this is the stuff that we sort of can think about is, in the medical field, radiology is definitely low-hanging fruit, where you're analyzing X-rays, analyzing MRIs. It is to the point where it's as good or better than a radiologist. So does that mean that you should eliminate and fire all radiologists? No. It means, and this is true actually, because we'll talk about some of the negatives and that sort of thing, but it's that you have to move up the stack, right? You can't be the commodity stuff anymore, right? It's still going to, at this point anyways, need, and that, what does it mean that, okay, so I found this, I don't know what I'm talking about with radiology, but the scan shows something, abnormal, right? And what does that mean? The AI is, I don't want to say not at the point yet, because it can suggest, but it's not yet at the point where it's going to replace your doctor, but it can identify for your doctor things that may have otherwise been missed, or maybe identify it earlier. because it wasn't as obvious. Pattern detection, lab tissue analysis, pharmaceuticals. It's a lot of pharmaceuticals, in the drug trials and that sort of, they kind of, it's a whole lot of trial and error. As sophisticated as that process, and I sort of can pretend to sort of know about it because my degree's in biochemistry, but it's, there is a whole lot of trial and error that happens. They make 2,000 versions of a drug, and then they sort of test them all and see which works, sort of thing. Now, there's a lot more sophisticated methods than that, but it's still not as sophisticated as you might think. It's you sort of think that they're trying to cure X and Y disease. They know all these things, and then they make a target drug and it fits perfectly and does the thing. That's usually not that's generally not how it works. I think that maybe have happened a few times, but generally it's that they're like shooting in the dark and doing a whole bunch of things and developing, I don't know, 100,000 different versions of the thing, and then one will show some promise, or 10 will show some promise, and then they sort of whittle it down. So it's a whole lot of trial and error. So that kind of process is ripe for AI to be able to take, because humans we don't have the ability to handle that much input and look at that much data for patterns, right? So that's right for it. I mean, chatbots in retail, basically every website you go to now has some kind of chatbot, and that's, most of them are powered by AI. So you've 100% interacted with AI in a chatbot, right? And you can put that on your website today and probably field some percentage of questions from customers, right? Could you provide better customer service and get somebody to engage with that, right? Is there a downside of that being maybe not authentic or giving the wrong answers, that sort of thing? Yeah, possibly, but it's going to get better and better and better. And when you look into it now, it's really not bad, right? If you're selling appliances, what are the questions that people are going to ask, right? Do you have it in stock? What's the delivery time? Does it have this widget or that widget? Does it have this feature or that feature? You could probably boil it down. If you wrote down a list of 30 questions, probably 80% of the people visiting the website would ask one of those 80 questions, right? What are your hours? How soon can I get it? Do you have it in stock? All those things. So yeah, think about AI in your business, and what is it that, if you only knew that, I talked to someone who was using AI to try to predict what customers will want to buy. So trying to, they're in retail, and they were looking at, what do they stock in the store? So if you knew that one item was going to sell way better than the other, I mean, you'd stock more of those, right? So which ones would sell? How many customers are you going to have, right? So we all have these levers in our business that we're trying to pull, right? Ultimately, you say, well, I'm going to hire 2 salespeople, and I'm going to pull that lever, and I would like the following outcome. And I hope, based on my revenue, or based on my ideas and my experience and all those things, I hope I make an educated guess with the information that I have, that it's going to have, outcome X. And that's why I'm doing it. And I can, it's got some probability of succeeding, because, I mean, maybe I'm just finger in the wind trying it out of the blue, but probably I've done my research and had some kind of idea why that would work, or how that would work. If I had better data, or a more certain probability, right? So if I hire 2 salespeople, is that going to work? What probability of success do I think that has? I don't know, put a number on it. 50%. Maybe it's 90%. Yeah, I don't know. But if it were higher, it'd be better, right? Would you do it if you knew that it was going to be 99% successful? Hire 2 salespeople, which is going to cost a lot of money, but you have a 90% probability of success when you do that. Would you do it? Yes, you probably would, right? That's what AI can do. So where is there a situation in your business where you have some kind of uncertainty, right? How much inventory do you need? Should you hire now or should you wait? What's the market going to be like? Am I going to have a huge demand for my business or not? Am I going to have a drop in business? What is the price of such and such going to be? If you knew some of these things for certain or more certain than you could do today, how would you act? And then you could model the scenarios, right? You could say, well, if I did hire 2 salespeople, what would it look like? What if I hired 9 salespeople? What would that look like? Right? What if I didn't hire any salespeople? What would that look like? Right? And if you could know with some kind of reasonable degree of certainty, then you could, right? So think about Google Maps, right? You figure out when you want to leave. And then you could know with some reasonable degree of certainty that when you're going to get there. So are you going to get to the wedding on time? Right? Is you can use the GPS and the Google Maps to figure that out. And so if you knew those things in your business, what could you do? So these are the kinds of things we can think about, right? So that it's a prediction engine, that if it is essentially a crystal ball that you can use in your business. So it's based on the platform, right? I keep talking about GPS, the electrical distribution grid. When the power goes out, what can you do? You're certainly more limited. Humans did exist before the electrical grid was invented, right? Imagine if there were no gas stations, right? If the gas station runs out of gas. I know there's electrical vehicles, so we'll talk about the power grid as well, but a lot of things shut down. This graphic down here is meant to be the internet, right? So imagine if, well, we had a customer with the internet down at one of their locations today, right? It's an absolute 911, right? It's everyone's, on it right away because you can do anything without it. So that AI is going to continue to be this platform, and we'll just sort of start taking it for granted about all these things we can do and we can be certain about, because you just sort of take for granted that you can look up, how long is it going to take to drive to Moncton, New Brunswick, right? It's 1,200 kilometers or so. That take me X number of hours. I don't know, right? And you can add all the complexities. So different, customer service and marketing, finance and sales. You can use it in all these places. Looking at resumes. I mean, when the last time you tried to hire someone, how many resumes did you get? Right? You had to spend hours sorting through hundreds of resumes, probably. And who did that in the company, and how much time did it take? If you could, and there's platforms like ZipRecruiter, for example, that try to suggest, and they're using AI to try to suggest good candidates. So on ZipRecruiter, I have nothing to do with ZipRecruiter. I have no affiliation with them at all. But I know that you can thumbs up or thumbs down. So if you like a resume and it looks good to you, you can thumbs up the resume. And then you do that with 15, 20, 30, 40 resumes that you're going to look at anyways, because they're people that applied for the job. And then it will then go out to the rest of the database and suggest for you resumes that match the criteria of the ones you did thumbs up, thumbs down for, right? And so they've made it pretty simple in that you don't have to you can type in what you're looking for, certainly, but you could just say, I like this one, don't like that one. I like this one, don't like that one. And then it will develop the pattern for you and then go out and search the database and suggest ones. So that there's a use of AI right now to save time, to find you the best candidate for the kind of person you're looking for. Because the job description that we write, no matter how good we think it is, actually stinks. So if we say, I like this one, it can figure out whether what about that person's resume is particularly of interest to us or not. AI will replace us all, and humanity's going to be extinct, and it's only for big companies, and there's lots of scary stuff about AI, and so it's about figuring out how to use it, right? So, all right, what how can you use AI in your business? What are the how do you recognize, oh, that would be perfect for AI, right? Situations where there are lots of factors to consider, like trying to predict the stock market, like trying to read a radiology report, like doing lab tissue analysis or pharmaceuticals or something like that. If there's a lot of documents to consider, and a lot of factors to look at, a lot of variables, a lot of things that where it requires a human to look at it, or if it's even too much for humans, where there's just how can I predict whether the plane's going to be on time or something, right? Okay, those are large examples. What about something in small business? Well, I need to order more doohickeys for my inventory. Someone in your organization is going like, all right, let's order 9 of them, right? But that's just someone's best guess, and it's their educated guess based on their experience, but it's likely that AI can do a whole lot better and say that, well, based on the last 6 months of sales, I think you actually could do with 7, and that will be enough. Or I think if you had 12 in stock, you're probably going to sell those in X number of days, right? Where there's lots of data available, right? So think about financials or accounting or costing, or where there's tons of documents, right? If you've only got a database of 6 resumes, it's not going to be that great at it. If you've got a lot of resumes, then so where there's data to be had on what happened, or what happened in the past, so that it can, is this a duck or is an elephant? I need to give it 1 million duck pictures and 1 million elephant pictures. Give it 2 pictures and then expect it to know what a duck or an elephant is going forward. It's going to stink at it. So there has to be a lot of data available. So can you have all that data? You can potentially leverage other, and we'll go some of the tools, but you can leverage other people's, right? Because that's, is this a resume or is this a citizenship application? There's other people who have lots of data based on that, right? So, any kind of medicine, pharmaceuticals, etc., chatbots we talked about. So can you use that? Can you put a chatbot on your website right now to interact with customers? And we've got one on our website on digitalfire.ca, and it looks at what you are browsing right now, and then it looks at the rest of the website and tries to make links based on what other people. So if other people went to one page and then went to a second page and then a third, when you go to the first page that's on a particular topic, and it is watching or senses that you're staying on that page and reading it, it'll then suggest that you go to this other page that other people, their journey on the website took them through these 3 pages before they left. So it will suggest that you might want to consider this page because it's sort of related to what you're reading about right now. That exists on digitalfire.ca right now. It's kind of interesting, right? I didn't make that. We bought that tool and added it. So you could do that too, right? So there's things like that that are sort of low-hanging fruit that you can put in. Has that resulted in an extra sale right now? I don't think so. Jury's still out on that one. So there's some that we're trying it in all sorts of different ways, because this is all experimental, right? But yeah, I'll skip through these slides because they're types of AI, and I'll send this out afterwards and you can go through it. But there's the super intelligent or super AI is like this superhuman that can do everything. Strong AI, etc. That one's still, I haven't seen that yet, so it's still out there. But or I think one of the things is it real or fake? Because so that 60-minute call, is it real? right? I mean, she certainly thought it was real and sent the passport, right? There's going to come a time where videos will be released and you'll see something happening on a video, and right now you say, well, that's the evidence, it's there, but that video is actually entirely fake and created, never happened. It will become very difficult to tell what is real or fake, what is the truth. Right now, we can look at a video and reasonably assume that that's real footage. It's not a cartoon. It happened. It must have happened somewhere. Somebody recorded it. Except that eventually it will get to the point where we won't be able to tell, which is sort of a scary thought of what that means, right? Lost jobs, yeah, certainly. I mean, legal industry, for example, there's a ton of research. There's a ton of, say, conflict checking or writing up of documents. There's a famous one in the U.S. where the lawyer got caught, cited cases because he put it into ChatGPT, didn't bother verifying it. ChatGPT got it wrong, like made up cases and cited cases, and was caught out that those cases didn't exist for the precedent. It was for the point that he was trying to argue. But some famous mistakes, but it's Google Maps got it wrong for a while as well, and then it just got better and better and better. So that's it. We're still a little bit in the infancy where it's getting a bunch of stuff wrong, but that it's getting better every day. So that's not going to last. It's going to be quite good. So there will be a time when you could say, yep, here's some cases, and ask ChatGPT or others, some cases to prove this, this case, there was a precedent for this point I'm trying to argue. So right now that's done by law clerks and associates and that sort of thing. So it's this concept of moving up the stack, right? Is that those sorts of more tedious tasks of looking up, is there doing conflict checks? That's again the legal example, but that it's moving away from the monotonous tasks into sort of tasks that require more intelligence or analysis or a decision, and then we talked about AI being able to do those things too, but the idea that AI is going to force us all to move up the stack. What if AI gets it wrong, and can humanity go extinct? Those are all dangers that need to be mitigated, but yeah. Okay, so and some threats, etc., and some, we'll get into some actual practical things here. So I'll skip some slides in the interest of time here. You can read these if you like, but think about how it's going to be in your business, right? Bring this up in your next team meeting. Where could you use it? How could you use it? Start somewhere. I'm not sure that you're going to, in one meeting, revolutionize your entire industry and 100% change your business. I don't think it's going to be a breakthrough miracle thing in 10-minute discussion. I think it's going to be a slow adoption of it, and then you'll figure out where it can be used. I think you should get out in front of it and start to talk about it. It's certainly something we're talking about in our IT strategy meetings, internally, but also with clients, right? Is how, maybe are your competitors doing things? So, okay. Opera One is a browser. You can start using this today. You can download it instead of Chrome. Opera is a browser, but Opera One specifically uses AI, and so it can suggest things you should search for. If you're planning a trip, it will suggest other maybe destinations or other travel sites and look up prices for you on different flights, or it will suggest things, and it's free, and you can try it right now. So if you're doing something complex like booking travel, hotel, and a rental car, right? You need those things to align dates and locations and all that kind of. Obviously, you could just go to Expedia and do it all, right? But there's some opportunities for, hey, did you think of this, or did you try that, or so. Anyways, Opera One is interesting. Try it. Bing.com/new. You could just go there right now and try it and ask it things. and it can, again, search, and you can ask it to do interesting things. Microsoft Copilot, this is coming. It's there apparently for, and then we can talk next month to Jazz and Pradeep, who are going to be our guests next month. But they've actually seen this where it's not even out in beta yet, but it's in Word and it's in Excel. It is not in PowerPoint yet, I'm told, or OneNote, but it is in Word and Excel. So you can use Copilot, or we'll be able to ask it to do things like summarize a meeting or take 5 documents and put them together, draft a proposal from yesterday's meeting notes, right? So it can make a quote for you, or it can sort of, we'll be able to find new uses. And the key here is that, because there's a privacy issue, don't put stuff into ChatGPT that is your client information or anything proprietary, because that, and I just, ChatGPT is the famous one, but there's all sorts of things. We can't use Bard in Canada yet. I wish we could. Of course, there are ways around it, but Bard is the Google one that is also very good. ChatGPT is kind of more famous, but the Google one is quite powerful, and depending on who you ask and what you're talking about, maybe better or worse, or there's lots of different competing things and technologies for AI, but Google is definitely there. And yeah, but this one it'll be baked into 365. So when I say, because anything you put in ChatGPT becomes part of the public record, right? It's like posting it on the internet. So if you ask it to summarize a document and it's your client's information, you're basically putting your client's information on Reddit or something, right? You're publicly posting it, and you will not be able to take it out or remove it or unpost it. It becomes part of the public record. So be a little careful about what you do. But this is coming. Again, it's supposed to be about $30 a user. That's not confirmed, but yeah, per month. And Duet is Google's version of it. So Google will also be releasing its version of an assistant that will work inside Google and Gmail and Calendar and Sheets and all those other things. I don't know as much information about this one. We're kind of getting some inside information about the Microsoft one, and we can ask Jazz and Pradeep more questions about it when they come on next month. But of course, ChatGPT you can use, so give that a try. There's a free version and a paid version that does more. You can ask it to do things, writing content. So again, try this one. You can ask it to write me a 1,500 word essay on this for a blog, or a response to a customer, or how should I deal with this situation? Notion. This could be a competitor for Evernote or note taking, or it could be a competitor for project management like Monday.com or Basecamp or any of the other ones. I mean, it's certainly being used by a ton of people. It is an interesting platform, and they have AI baked into it, so that's definitely worth trying. And a lot of people really like the snazzy interface, and it works really well. And the fact that it has AI is just kind of a bonus, which is great. So text to speech is if you want to pick a type of voice, and you need something for your phone system, you need something for audio commercial maybe, or something. You can pick different types of voice styles, put in your text, and it will, it doesn't sound like a robot anymore. If you actually try this, it sounds totally real, and it's text that you just typed in a minute ago, and you hit send, and it will make it into a female South African voice, or a female Spanish accent, or a male Australian accent, or a British one, or a Canadian one, or somebody from Boston, or somebody, there's, yeah, this one works quite well, and it's pretty impressive. So you might have seen this in some of your meetings. Fireflies.ai takes meeting notes and summarizes the meeting for people. You invite this thing to your Zoom meeting. It isn't in this one, but it takes notes and summarizes the meeting. It can send out stuff to everybody involved, so that maybe people who didn't make the meeting can get a quick synopsis of what happened. and then it's in the record for your company, etc. So that's, I mean, there's a simple subscription to that. I don't think it costs very much, and it's really easy to put in, so that I can make everybody more productive. Just tiny little ways, right? This one's interesting. Personal assistant, right? It's like, can you find me? I need to buy. I don't know. Need to buy garbage bags on Amazon, right? You could just tell this AI to go get you garbage bags on Amazon, and it will look through your previous purchases and figure out which one you should buy and then order it for you, like you would ask a personal assistant to do. So it can do some interesting stuff. So that's one to try as well. This one's so good, it's freaky. When you see this, promotional videos and videos in general, and you can pay to get a custom avatar. So you can potentially have your own face or pick one that does this, and then you type what you would like it to say, and then it outputs a video. Is it going to be exactly looking like you? No, but you can get a custom avatar maybe that is unique to your business and is not sort of this generic one that maybe they've seen elsewhere, sort of thing. But my point is, you can get text and have it make a video. Okay, get text from ChatGPT. Give me 30 seconds worth of text or 300 words worth of text on promoting this item, and then use AI to generate the text, post it into here, make the video. How long would it have taken you to do that? You could do it with this in a couple of minutes and then send it off, right? So if you're doing sales, maybe it would be useful to do it as a video as opposed to a text email. And then what am I going to say? Well, the AI can tell you what to say, and then it can generate a video on how to do it too. So yeah, it can make an entire presentation for you. I didn't make this one using AI, but I did try this out, and it is actually quite impressive. It added pictures, it added text. Try it. Beautiful that AI makes presentations for you, and then you can edit it, right? This one is a little bit more gray area in that you can use it to analyze things. It's not a specific tool like make presentations. It's you connect it to your data, connect it to your MailChimp to look at stats on emails, connect it to your Google or Microsoft, and then it can maybe classify, is this spam, is this obviously Microsoft and Google both do this in tabs and that sort of thing already, the priority inbox and they do this already. But this is an interesting one where if you've got some idea on, I think if we optimize this, we could use AI here. This is an interesting one to try out. So yeah, there's some tools for you, and some more on here. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock, so we'll leave it at that. I hope I've given you some practical tips here for AI. There's more to talk about for sure. Next month we'll do this webinar and actually go through what the city of Kelowna did and talk to them and how they got to their process. But maybe the message is really just to be thinking about it, right? This is coming, so thinking about how you can use AI. What are the different, where's their data? Where's there some low-hanging fruit? Can I save 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there? Can I respond to emails faster or better or something like that? Where could you use this? And then yeah, feel free to reach out to us as well, and we can brainstorm together. We can maybe see what other clients have done, how we're using it, etc. We're kind of on this journey together. So yeah, thank you everybody for sticking around, and we will send this out, and we'll post it on YouTube as well. So yeah, have a wonderful day. Thank you.